just love that. It's the most civilized way to call a room to order. Welcome, good morning. Welcome to UUCOV, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice. We are a home for liberal religion, which to me means free inquiry into the meaning of life and supporting the social and spiritual welfare of all people. We are so happy to welcome all of you here today, whether in person or online. We hope you'll meet someone new and find something valuable to take home from today's service. My name is Marcia Smith, your worship associate today. If you'd like to learn more about UUCOV and our programs and activities, you can go to our website at UUCOV.org or visit our Facebook page. If you're joining online, I hope you'll consider supporting the wonderful people and technology that brings this service into your home. There's a donate button at the top of our home page. Are there any first-time or second-time visitors today that would like to stand up and introduce themselves, say who you are? Somebody will bring you a microphone. Any new visitors today? Over here.
Hi, I'm Sue Crawford, longtime UU from the UU congregation in Columbia, Maryland. Moved here in 2006, and the old demon golf on Sunday mornings kept me away from here. But I'm finished with golf, so here I am.
Any others? If you haven't had a chance, visitors, to check in at the welcome table, we'd love to get your info so we can send you our newsletter and you can keep up with all of our activities. We now begin our service with the prelude. Our chalice lighting today is with words from To Abet Creation, adapted from Annie Dillard. We light this chalice to abet creation and to witness to it, to notice each other's beautiful face and complex nature so that creation need not play to an empty house. Reverend Amy Shaw, our interim minister.
I love these words by Marianne Houchin Cotter. This is called Welcome. Welcome to this place of possibility. This is love's hearth, the home of hope, a refuge for minds in search of truth, unfolding, ever beautiful, ever strange. Here, compassion is our shelter, freedom our protection from the storms of bigotry and hate. In this abode may we find comfort and courage. Here may our sight become vision to see the unseen and to glimpse the good that is yet to be. What a great bunch of words to frame who we are as a congregation and as a denomination. What a great way to start a morning. So please take just a minute, say hello to the people around you, introduce yourself, or just say hi. We're going to sing our opening hymn in just a second, but before I have you do that, I'd like you to do something for me and for Miss Grace Grote over here. I'd like us to sing Happy Birthday at the top of our lungs. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Grace. Happy birthday to
One is, first of all, that you have given me for many, many years such a warm and comfortable place to be. Can you hear? Yes. And I thank you all, every one of you, for your kind hearts and your patience. And I want to deliver a little warning. That is, if you think it's a lot of nerve to turn up, hardly able to walk, and tell people you're 103 and expect all such kindness, you don't deserve it. What you do, and it's going to happen to every one of you maybe, you're just sitting around, you're doing your life, you're doing your good deeds, you're taking care of your kids, you got your business, everything's working fine, and you're doing your part. Your part is to breathe in and out. In and out. In and out. Every day, and you don't stop for anything. And one day, when you're just thinking of nothing and you thought you lived a fairly blameless life, somebody says, you're 103. It happens. I hope it happens as beautifully and kindly as you have made it always for me. Thank you.
Woo! And I'm going to ask you now, after those wonderful words, to please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and join me in number 389, gathered here. We're going to do it 3 times.
Stay
Our children's chapel is the time in the service when we tell the children what the adults are going to be talking about later. And today, what we're mostly talking about is the fact that it's not good for everything to stay the same for too long. And so for those of you who are younger than 13 or 14, whether you're here or following along at home, there's a lot of things that have changed just in your lifetime. We've gone from things like DVDs and CDs to MP3s. We don't watch videos, we got MP4s. We have TikTok. I'm not real sure if I handed you guys an 8-track tape player, if anybody under the age of 20 would know what to do with it. I miss my 8-track player. But things change. The things around us change. The way we talk about things change. If I said, "That's really nifty," I get some looks. If I say, "That's cool beans," I get some real looks. We don't use words like hepcat. Our language changes. The words we're allowed to use changes. The way we talk about our church changes. But we still remain. And we're still the same people trying to figure out for ourselves how to do religion. And that's the important part. That we realize that we're a democracy. We get to vote on stuff. Nobody makes us do stuff, even if the language changes. Nobody can make us pray a certain way or feel a certain way. It's all up to us. And so that's what we're talking about today. And I'd like to ask you all to help me sing the children out the words of the Reeb Children's Benediction.
Today, as part of our 25th anniversary celebration here at UUCOV, we're looking at the history of the LGBTQ activism at UUCOV. And I want to thank Denny Fuller and the original catalyst, and to Denny and Fran Vanacek for helping me put together this history of the process of becoming a welcoming congregation. The term welcoming congregation is used by UUA to signify that a congregation has completed trainings and studies in order to intentionally welcome members of all sexual identities and orientations. As we have recently been reminded in our Beyond Categorical Thinking workshop, there is always more to learn and more to know. As Unitarian Universalist values hold the inherent dignity and humanity of every person, we always seek to learn more about the varying backgrounds and experiences of our fellow humans. UUCOV was founded in 1998. Every year has brought growth and change. One of these changes began in 2005 when Denny Fuller asked then-President Dale Povenmire, would UUCOV be willing to do the work necessary to become an official welcoming congregation? At UUCOV's 2005 annual meeting, a committee was formed to begin the work towards gaining certification as a welcoming congregation. And you see there a picture of that large and august committee. Polly Leland Mayer, particularly, was a retired Unitarian minister, and her experience was very helpful. And Reverend Susan Nazian, who was the reverend at that time, was also very supportive. UUA provided a step-by-step process, including holding workshops, conducting listening exercises, and hosting gay, lesbian, and transgendered speakers. According to Fran, the whole process was a great experience and was received with enthusiasm by the membership. In April 2006, after completing the application process, UUCOV voted to become a welcoming congregation. For some years, there was an active LGBT group at UUCOV called Shout. Lori Baribeau, who sadly passed away in 2019, was a dynamic leader in this group. Over time, as folks came and went, the group became inactive. We also want to note that UUCOV regularly welcomes members of the LGBTQ community to its pulpit. And the congregation continues to represent at Venice Pride with great enthusiasm and remains open and welcoming. As part of our social justice efforts, UUCOV has become active in protesting anti-gay rhetoric and policies at Sarasota County School Board meetings. While we have a long history of supporting the LGBTQ community, we also commit to renewing this effort. We are painfully aware that freedoms and equality must continually be safeguarded, especially here in Sarasota County and Florida. I'm going to ask different groups to raise your hand. Please leave your hand up until all groups have been called. As you're willing and able, please raise your hand if you identify as a member of the LGBTQ community. Raise your hand if you have a family member in the LGBTQ community. Raise your hand if you have a friend, neighbor, or coworker in the LGBTQ community. As you can see, what affects the LGBT community affects all of us. Thank you. So let us renew our efforts to combat anti-LGBTQ laws and policies in Sarasota County and in Florida through organizing our own members, teaming with the Sarasota and Port Charlotte UUs, and in addition, it would be great to see UUCOV support local groups like Also Youth, which we have been involved with in the past, and Equality Florida, which organizes both locally and statewide. UUCOV has a welcoming history. We look forward to our welcoming future. Thank you, UUCOV.
I don't know if I can follow that act too well, but we'll give it a shot. Our offering words today are offered with levity because, as always, I never want giving to hurt. At a church meeting, a very wealthy man rose to tell the rest of those present about his UU faith. I am a multimillionaire, he said, and I attribute it all to the rich blessings of the universe in my life. I remember the turning point in my faith. I had just earned my very first dollar, and I went to a UU church that night. They talked about their work in social justice. I knew that I had only $1 to my name, and I thought I have to give it all. And so I did. And the universe has blessed that decision, and that's why I'm rich today. He finished and moved to a seat, and there was an awed silence. And as he sat down, a little old lady sitting in the back pew said loudly, "Right. I dare you to do it again." We don't ask for everything, but a little would be nice. The morning offering will now be given and graciously received. Thank you all so much. Everything you give is so needed and so valued. Thank you. A congregation is about the people. It's a community of human hearts and human hands, and we come together here to share our laughter and our tears. So this is our time during the service where we share our joys and our sorrows together. You can put a hand up, someone will bring you a microphone. We do ask you share only stories that are yours to tell. Before or during the service, you're always welcome to come up and light a candle on the candle table to commemorate something. During Joys and Concerns, I light them for you. We're going to light a candle today for all of the people of Israel and all of the people of Palestine. May the innocent on both sides survive this terrible war. May their governments have some sense. May there be no genocide. I have a candle of joy and a candle of sorrow for both myself and Nancy. We've had a heck of a week. As some of you may know, our house got flooded this week. We had water pouring in for about 14 hours. As you can imagine, we've now taught the cats to swim. We did do a GoFundMe, and I was in tears when I realized it reached its goal, so we are going to be able to replace everything that was destroyed. I cannot say thank you enough to all of you who've reached out this week with hugs, with thoughts, with donations, with offers to stay with you, with offers of a place to shower. We are overwhelmed at the kindness of this congregation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That has been an absolute joy, and we cannot say thank you enough. And we are on the upswing. We have half a floor in the living room, 2 dry couches, and a bunch of really nice dry bedding, so we are doing good. So, huh?
You have a bed to sleep in?
We're working on it. So if anyone has a joy or a concern they want to share, please raise your hand and someone will bring you a microphone.
Good morning, I'm Jean, and I realized sitting here, this would have been appropriate last Sunday as we gathered as a congregation. This was my first experience at the United Church of Christ, where there's an interfaith service during the week, and Pat and I joined the chorus, Nancy. So it was an experience to learn the music, very vigorous and energetic music director, but the experience of the service where they had people from faiths of so many parts of the world speak to the congregation. It was an extraordinary experience. And Amy was part of that. So, and then looking into the people seated in the pews, I saw quite a number of UUCOVs, and that was very rewarding. Next year, I'll do it again.
Good morning, I'm Serena Cantarelli. Has everyone seen this picture?
Yeah.
Okay, whoops.
And the gondolier.
It was a tribute by the Venice gondolier, which is extremely unusual, to honor our 25th anniversary. And if you haven't seen it, it's supposed to be on our public website. Yes? Okay. Anyhow, I want to say this, that I ran into at the Venice Historical Society luncheon on Thursday after this event, the journalist who did this, Van Valensek. And I knew her from previous experience at the Venice Historical Society, And I welcomed her as she was walking in. And of course, once she got in the building, several people welcomed her. But I went up to her at the luncheon on Thursday, and I thanked her for doing the piece. And she said, I want to tell you something. She said, I was greeted with nothing but love by your community when I came here, and it surprised me. She said, I came in the building and everyone was so welcoming, and I felt nothing but love in the building. And she said, I was very impressed with the sermon and everything I experienced, and the same experience at the luncheon. And she said, you know, I'm a Catholic. And I wanted to say, she didn't tell me she was a Republican, and I knew that. But anyhow, I wanted to mention that. And if you're wondering about who this person is that she also paid tribute to, Eileen Leapley's maiden name was, where is she? Patek? And she also wrote a little tribute to Eileen because she worked with Eileen at Taylor Ranch for many years. So I thought that was nice. Okay, thank you.
And I'm Eileen. Real quick, I just want to say, because of our Joy, who is Grace Grote, make sure you do not leave here after the service without getting a piece of birthday cake.
I just wanted to mention the accidental decoration here this morning. The church was mostly empty when I left that. And it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be a permanent spot for it, but you're welcome, let you know that you're welcome to do as you wish.
I'm Lori Priest, and my partner Annie and I have a great joy to share. We have two friends visiting us who are two of our dearest and closest friends. We consider them family. They're from Western Mass. They're down here for the week. I think they come down when we leave Mass each year in November to come down for our 6 months. I think they're a little worried coming to Florida for our safety and our security. And so the fact that we are here this Sunday with all of you, they see the community that supports us, and we know you always have our back, and we know that when they leave here, they will feel much more comforted knowing that we are well cared for. So thank you to all of you.
I've got two last quick joys. We, this week, from the UUA, we had written a grant for our Right to Read event. And yeah, you can feel this coming, we got it. $8,700, which will take the bulk of this. We are so excited. We've also gotten permission from the UUA to use their Faithify funding website. So Rich Canarelli is busy building us a Faithify. It's like a GoFundMe for UU churches, which means we can publicize this all over the country and get other UUs to get some money in to help us pay for all the little bibs and bobs that we still need to pay for. It's going to happen, folks. May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern, and may the light of this community shine on the broken places of the world. May we never look away when we're needed. May those who are grieving be comforted, and those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed, and may those who are filled with love and joy and laughter be abundant.
Our reading for today is from On Predicting the Future by William Sinkford. And I just wanted to add that William Sinkford was the first black president of the UUA. He is the senior minister of the First Unitarian Church of Portland, Oregon. He served as president of the UUA from 2001 until 2009, and also as interim co-president in a very important part of the history in 2017. On predicting the future. Learning from the past tells me that Unitarian Universalism can live into a future of deepening spirit, powerful witness, and institutional health. Because we have lived that, we can create a culture that finds hope in the real lived human experience we bring, informed by our diverse identities. Learning from the past also tells me that our faith can lose track of its center by refusing to answer the call of love because we have tasted that future as well. No faith can expect an unlimited number of second chances. COVID-19 has changed us. Regathering our congregations is a work in progress. Attendance has not reached pre-pandemic levels, even adding those attending online. Almost every Sunday, I meet someone who is returning for the first time. This is a liminal time between COVID's peak and whatever normal will emerge. Some members have lost the habit of church and will not return. Watching church in pajamas has become a real choice. More will come, but maybe not as often, at least not yet. While others, including some in the disabled and elderly communities, may continue to find it easier to attend virtually. Given the choices, how will we support that depth of connection? Will our understanding of covenant begin to change? These patterns are not settled. This is a liminal time between COVID's peak and whatever normal will emerge. Will congregational life return to what we have known before? If our perspective centers lamentation for what we've lost, if our energy is directed at recreating a flawed and declining past, our ministries will not speak to either the present challenge or the real opportunities. There are reasons for concern. Attendance at congregations is down, budgets are tight, ministers are retiring, full-time ministries are becoming less frequent. Some small congregations are closing. Even before the pandemic, aging congregations and shrinking membership were concerns. In many congregations, most perhaps, the stream of visitors continues. Folks continue to be drawn by the openness of our faith, the big non-creedal theological tent we try to pitch. They are drawn by their desire for values-based religion and sexuality education for their children, by Black Lives Matter signs and rainbow flags that promise a faith no longer shaped by uninspected privilege and a monocultural understanding of God's love. They come yearning for connection in a community that still finds it possible to believe in love. Our need for religious community abides to support and celebrate with us and to connect us to the enduring spirit of life. These seekers want to be invited to build beloved community, and they are more than willing to help, but they first need to be fed by welcome and worship. They want a religious community that is worth the effort. The world they inhabit is multiracial, multicultural, and multi-religious. Often, so are their families. The visitors to our congregation want a faith that will help them thrive in that world. So do our longtime faithful members. Our task is to find the power in that pluralism. Please join me in a minute of silent meditation, thought, or prayer. Please rise in body or spirit as you're willing and able, and join me in singing 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
I want to talk mostly today about where we're going, but to do that, I have to talk about where we've been. And so I want to talk a little bit about 1961. Now, in 1961, if you heard the word queer, it was an insult. Miss Marcia P. Johnson had not even picked up the brick that started the Stonewall riots. Those didn't happen for another 8 years. The pride flag wasn't flying yet. 1961. Dwight Eisenhower, and then Jack Kennedy. Little Bob Dylan was still Robert Zimmerman most of the time. People were going to see 101 Dalmatians at the drive-in with their best gal. The Freedom Riders were starting the bus rides because Alabama had gone goofy. The Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba happened and failed. In Vietnam, war was finally declared after 6 years of sending military advisors. Barack Obama was born. So was Billy Ray Cyrus. And let's talk about the clothes and the hair for a minute. Now, I don't know about you all, but I asked my parents, I said, how were the clothes in 1961? And my mother just laughed hysterically for about 5 minutes. You gentlemen got to wear sweaters with a white button down and a tie. Suit and tie to work every day for a lot of you. Ladies, you were wearing skirts. Pantsuits got you some looks. They weren't legal in some jobs. Jackie Kennedy dresses and pillbox hats. You remember your gloves to go shopping downtown? I always used to worry I was going to lose mine, and that was about 9 years later. The Marlboro Man was still on television. You might hear, calling Philip Morris. The Flintstones still smoked Winstons. I venture to guess that not one of you still looks exactly like you did in 1961. And you probably, if you still have some of those clothes, and I do say if because I looked the other day, I have a pair of shoes that passed the 30-year mark. Some of you may still have your clothes, your shoes, tucked away somewhere, but I bet you haven't worn them out lately. You look at your beehive hairdo or your high and tight, or your Brill cream comb over, remember those? Groovy hasn't been groovy in quite a while. And in 1961, the UUA was born. These were the principles upon which it was founded. This is from the foundational document. In accordance with these corporate purposes, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Association, dedicated to the principles of a free faith, unite in seeking: 1, to strengthen one another in a free and disciplined search for truth as the foundation of our religious fellowship. 2, to cherish and spread the universal truths taught by the great prophets and teachers of humanity of every age and tradition, immortally summarized in Judeo-Christian heritage as love to God and love to many. 3, to affirm, defend, and promote the supreme worth of every human personality, the dignity of man, and the use of the democratic method in human relationships. 4, to implement our vision of one world by striving for a world community founded on the ideals of brotherhood, justice, and peace. 5, to serve the needs of member churches and fellowships, to organize new churches and fellowships, and to extend and strengthen liberal religion. And 6, to encourage cooperation with men of goodwill in every land. The women can go to hell. This was our foundational document. Things change. If we wrote this today, congregations would be up in arms. In 1985, those were changed. And a few years later, a 7th principle was added to give us the 7 we know today. These are all part of the foundational documents in a section called Article 2. It's the part that tells us why we're organized. Things change. Things change because we insist that they change, or because they just don't fit anymore, like those bell-bottoms you owned in 1969. Things change because they just fall out of fashion. The original UU logo was 2 overlapping circles, and it had a chalice, but the chalice looked suspiciously cross-like for those trying to fly under the radar. But things change. And they keep changing because we want to remain a viable religion. But how they change is the exciting part, because that's up to you. And we are not monolithic. We have Republicans and we have Democrats, we have independents and Greens. We have people who love very conservative wording, people who love very flowery thoughts. And there's people like that in every congregation. So we come together at General Assembly to decide, how do we want to word things? It's a marvelous part of living our values, engaging in living democracy. You know, when I spend time online playing video games, I learn all sorts of new words and phrases, as you can imagine. Some of them even have more than 4 letters. I I've learned that to yeet something is to throw it, and that being sus or cringe is bad. I've learned that jean shorts aren't good anymore. I've learned that saying no cap means that I'm telling the truth. And say less means I believe you. And I've learned that goblin core is a thing, but I'm not sure what it is just yet. Changes in words, changes in language are a part of our country. We don't tell people, for the most part anymore, be there or be square. We don't speak Middle English. We write important ideas in a way that speak to people today. And what does that sound like? Well, that's the tough part. That's up to you. Because the world itself is changing. And we want to keep talking to the next generation and the next. The Census Bureau announced quite a while ago that they thought by 2042, being non-Hispanic white would be in the minority in our country. The current forecast says by 2045. But here's the kick. If you're under 18, non-Hispanic white is already in the minority. 40%. The country is changing. There are currently 1,048 UU congregations worldwide, and over 1,000 of those are in the U.S. There's over 148,000 members here in the U.S. We're a small denomination, but we're still growing. And we're white. It's a little hard to hide. We're white in general, 89%. And given the trends, this is nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be upset about. But we have to think about, what does that mean? What does that mean as the population shifts? Because we want to welcome people, right? We want to open the doors. We want to welcome them not to our house, but to their house. But we need to think about what that sounds like, how we say it, how we welcome. I was researching this sermon, and a friend told me this story. She said, years ago, I was looking for a UU church. My husband is a fairly evangelical Christian. I'm an Orthodox Jew. She said, we can't go and have a worship experience together. So we both said, okay, let's look for a UU church, because he can go to church early on the morning on Sunday, and I can go to church on Saturday night at my synagogue, and we can both go to the UU church together. So let's look. And so she rode a bus to the first UU church she was going to look at all by herself. She got there 5 minutes late because of the bus schedule. She came in, and the white man at the door told her, you can't come in right now, it'll be disruptive. You have to stand here till the hymn's over. And so she's standing there in the lobby by herself with this man actually blocking the door. And she had on her headscarf, which she wore. It's like a snood and a scarf. And he said to her, this very obviously Orthodox Jewish woman, oh, and if you want to hang that somewhere, there's a coat rack over there. And she said to him, no, thank you. And she went and sat in the back when he let her in. At the end, she came out and talked to the welcome table. And she told him, my husband's church is loud. There's a lot of amens and hallelujahs and stuff like that. And my synagogue is more of there's a lot of prayer, there's a lot of noise and movement. What if we start coming here? I notice your church is very quiet. How would could it change? How would we do? And the woman that she was talking to actually said to her, there's another UU church few miles away that has some black people in it. You know, they're a little louder. You might do better there. I bet you can guess if she came back. She tried another one, and they told her, we love you. She loved the pastor. They told her the only problem was, we don't say the word God here. So if you're looking for that, you probably won't. And she said, that's okay. They left. They never came back. They eventually found a little lay-led fellowship that they adore. They've been there now for 20-something years. They're very happy. She said, you know, I was welcome as long as nothing had to change. I was welcome as long as I understood that while they were comfortable going on a field trip to see people like me, people like me weren't welcome. And that hurt my heart, hearing it about us, because I love us as a denomination, and I haven't had that experience. I said, I think it's changed, and I think it's changing. You know, I'm tired this week for a whole host of reasons, most of them squishy. But I have hope. And I have hope because of congregations exactly like this one. You've been in the world long enough to know that things change. And just like you're not calling people Daddy-O while watching the Dick Van Dyke Show these days, you're also not expecting church to look like it did in '61. I have hope because across the country, UUs have made a commitment to try to figure out what welcome looks like, what acceptance looks like, what services might look like given the world changing. I have hope because of you. I have hope because of services like this one today. I have hope that because it is possible that we realize that we are better together, we're stronger and wiser and braver together. I have hope because deep in my heart, I do believe that we will overcome, not someday, but starting today, we'll overcome silencing and marginalization, fear and discomfort and hatred and distrust. We'll overcome the evils of racism. We'll overcome our own history, and we'll yeet ourselves together into a future where the circle is wide, not by ignoring anyone from our most conservative to our most liberal, but by talking together over and over until we reach a democratic consensus. I have hope that we will create a world where the circle is wide and everyone is really, really welcome because of you. And that's no cap. Amen. May you carry the light of love, kindness, and welcome into the world today and always. We're going to finish singing with number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. So please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and join me in singing number 95. the ones we've been waiting for. We're not perfect, but we are perfectly fitted for this day. We're not without fault, but we can be honest. To face our past as we chart a new future, we are the ones we've been waiting for. May we be bold and courageous to chart a new future. May we have faith in a future that is not known. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So peace, ashe, and may it be so. Please join me in May Love Surround You.
If you could be seated for just a very short announcements. I know you're waiting for cake, and I just want to say we can always use more love, but not more announcements. So I just wanted to remind you that all announcements go through Kathy Avery, and all announcements will be specifically UUCOV related, because we're trying to avoid clutter, right? Please keep turning in petitions for the Reproductive Rights Amendment. We already heard about our upcoming Faithify campaign for the Right to Read Festival, so watch for that. And as the head of the welcome table, I invite you to speak to me. If you are interested, we can always use more volunteers there. That's your announcements.